we have had 2 days ago, there was a major revelation from the BBC in Doctor Who terms, which doesn't take much in 2021, really. They do sort of drip out bits and bobs more so. So, yeah, Comic-Con 2021 kicked off over the weekend. I think it started on Friday and it ran through till Sunday, may even run into Monday. As was traditional, people would pack out a hall like the hall you see behind me now, didn't they? Hundreds of people in these cavernous spaces celebrating all of the biggest in geek culture. So mainly franchises, all those big movies, the Marvel movies, the Star Wars movies, the big TV shows and the big franchises such as Star Trek and Doctor Who up until recent times would get that spotlight on that stage, taking questions from the audience. But they can't do that at the moment, can they? Because of the pandemic. They did put out a panel called Comic-Con at Home. I think they did this last year too. But it was a makeshift thing. But this year, they were able to deliver something that was a little bit of a halfway house as Comic-Con at home. Isn't that sweet? Yeah, I agree.
Cute.
So yeah, when they said there was going to be a Doctor Who panel, they started putting out this graphic here to remind us that Jodie Whittaker was going to be there, along with Mandip Gill, John Bishop, and the World's Worst Showrunner Chris Chibnall, and a very special surprise guest, and this really subtle graphic, everybody.
I've not seen that, actually. That graphic passed me by.
It gets worse. Oh. It gets worse with rainbows yet. We've not got to the trailer.
Oh, I like a rainbow. Rainbows are good, yeah.
Believe it or not, they can get even more on the nose than that. So yeah, that was 6 p.m. our time, 25th of July 2021. That was this Sunday just gone. And yes, it was the big Comic-Con panel. And I think that for people outside of the UK who don't really know him, to them the name John Bishop doesn't really mean anything. But to us, John Bishop is a stand-up comedian, isn't he? I think he's been selling out dates up and down the country for around 10 years now, JT. Very popular, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's popular. He's been around a lot. What can I say? This is one of his first goes at acting.
He's not Peter Kay popular, but
God, Peter Kay's huge. I mean, Peter Kay doesn't need to work.
Yeah, so obviously this was the first chance that a lot of people, international audiences, had to meet. Why have I got? There we are.
To meet JT.
I've got to meet.
Yeah, 150 quid, Charlotte, each.
And they confirmed that John Bishop's character would be named Dan Lewis in the upcoming season. That is all they really let on. Now,
do you know John Bishop was on Graham Norton and with some huge American stars, and they didn't understand a word he was saying.
Really?
They don't understand how the Americans going to understand. If they don't change his accent, if they don't tell him to slow down, the Americans are going to be very puzzled with what this guy is.
Well, the character is from Liverpool, isn't it? Mega geeky.
Yeah.
So we know very, very little about this character going forward, but there was a little bit of the publicity blurb here, which I'm going to read out now. It says, as he becomes embroiled in adventure, Dan will quickly learn there's more to the universe, but they've put universes, than he could ever believe. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that got us all thinking, because let's be honest, a great many of us are not. I mean, I'm no fan of the current era. JT, you're certainly not. Ian, it's worn you down a little bit, hasn't it? Where do you stand? I was going to say, where do you stand with it, Charlotte? For the people who may not know, we've not been big fans, but usually when they bring in a new character into something like this, it does refresh things, doesn't it? It does give it potentially a new energy. But I was wondering, we've had this panel, and when I was watching this panel on this from Comic-Con over the weekend, to me, I think John Bishop stood out as being the most, the keenest and the warmest presence. So he was the one who was the most engaging. He was the one who was the most entertaining. He was the one who was grinning from ear to ear, and it felt genuine. So if this is the first instance of him really meeting the Doctor Who fans, Charlotte, how do you think he managed?
I think he stole the show, and I had a feeling before the panel he was going to be the one entertaining factor. Because think about his job. He's a stand-up comedian. He has to have the patter. He has to interact with people. If you can't do that as a comedian, you can't do your job. Whereas Jodie's an actress, Monique's technically an actress, so it's like
Allegedly.
yeah. Well, we learned she didn't have to audition, so it was like okay.
Oh. Yeah, that was a new nugget we got on this panel, wasn't it? Man,
Yeah.
Really?
There was no audition process for her to play Yaz.
But the moment I really actually thought, wow, with John, was he was talking about being in the TARDIS for the first time. And this is a guy who's not like a known Doctor Who fan. He's not like a known figure. And he was so enthusiastic. And he was so like happy. And he was saying how much of an honour it was. And I just thought, when has Whittaker ever said any of those words? When has Whittaker ever shown any excitement?
Meow.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. And although she turned it on, she was flashing the teeth and she was doing the starry thing. It doesn't come across. I've never met the woman. She might. This is the disclaimer that I've always got to give. I've never met the woman. She may be lovely, but there's a lack of sincerity there, I think, and a lack of genuine warmth that you got with John Bishop because he's used to work in a crowd as well. Do you think, Charlotte?
Yeah, but like I said, it's more a genuine warmth towards Doctor Who. That's what I got from him talking about being on the TARDIS, because he was saying it's like this really iconic thing. He was saying it's amazing once you get on there, and like when Jodie speaks, a lot of it is not to do with that. It's to do with, oh, I'm gonna little girls and all this and all the politics.
Yeah, she never really turns the ideology down, does she? No, I just want to say hello to Simon Horton watching in the chat at the moment. Sorry I can't be there, folks. Miss you all. We miss you too. We hope you've enjoyed your break. Simon's been away on holiday, keeping out of mischief, I hope, or not very likely. Yeah, we've got a little quote here from John Bishop, who said that I have had an amazing 9 months making this and still more to come because they are still filming this. This is the first official picture of my character, Dan, with Yaz and the Doctor. Jodie and Mandeep have been brilliant, he says, and as has everyone on the show. So I hope you like it when it's out in the autumn. And they did release this first.
Nobody's obviously told them about the previous 2 series they've done.
Well, they do. I suppose they do make a show like this. They kind of make it in a bubble at the best of times, don't they? Even when there's not a pandemic, because of the massive amount of secrecy. And because, as you say, Charlotte, he was no fan. He's a very, very busy professional entertainer, working most evenings. I would imagine maybe even 2 shows on a Sunday. So it's quite likely that he hasn't had a chance to catch this era, really, Ian. What do you think?
What do I think of the panel? Of
John Bishop, and what do you think he's going to bring to the show?
Well, John Bishop he's not going to bring much to the show. He's going to be John Bishop, isn't he? Because this Doctor Who era, and I haven't seen much. I saw the first season, and that was enough for me. But what I've noticed is that the direction in the show, the first season, is non-existent. They seem to all rely on what people can bring to the table rather than putting them in the right direction of a character. So John Bishop's going to be playing John Bishop. Mandy Gill's going to be playing a plank as always, and Jodie's going to be, Jodie, basically the children entertainer. So this panel, when I watched the panel, I watched all of it. Mind you, I was working at the time, so I was listening mostly. It just came across as really insincere. It didn't feel like they meant anything they said. They didn't give anything away. They're talking about monsters. They're talking about this is one long story, that obviously going to end in cliffhangers and stuff like that. And, and they showed us a trailer that didn't show us anything. And the trailer was lackluster, and what can I say? It's this show, I've really lost interest in it.
We've got millions of us have, Ian, haven't they?
Yeah.
For my perspective of it is that when they're bringing somebody like John Bishop, they're doing exactly the same as they did with Bradley Walsh. They are mainlining his popularity that he will bring with him. That audience who like him.
I find that sad, Dan. I find
it is really sad. It says to me that Chris Chibnall hasn't got confidence in the characters that he is there to build through script.
If you just listen to the way he spoke, right? He knows nothing about nothing. It's so obvious that he doesn't really know about Doctor Who, because when you have interviews with Moffat and the other showrunners, they were all talking. They were all like, "Yes, we're going to do this with Doctor Who." They all got involved in the Comic Con. They all was speaking. They were all, it was like synergy. But with this, he must have said what, maybe 5 sentences.
Oh, that many! Wow!
And the whole of the whole thing, and I was like, why isn't he speaking more? Why isn't he talking more?
Playing devil's advocate, they haven't got the live audience to play off in this scenario. They are in a little theatre somewhere being asked questions by somebody else coming through an internet link. But I know exactly what you mean. And the fact, I was just thinking with what you were saying there, Charlotte, about the fact that Mandip didn't have to audition. John Bishop is not going to have had to audition to play John Bishop, as you don't audition somebody to play. So that's 2 people who never really auditioned. Apparently, Jodie Whittaker did do an audition, JT. I don't know if you ever remember hearing that story about her. She did some sort of audition, again, over the internet. This is pre-pandemic as well for Piers Wenger, where she used bits of an old mobile phone and an old iPhone to make out that she was inventing something. But that was about the limit of it. It was a formality, I always think. So we've got 3 actors here who haven't had to audition.
It wasn't an audition, it was a screen test. And the only thing for that is, of course, that apparently there were other actresses in the frame, but it was always Whittaker. We know that. Chibnall has said that he wanted Whittaker, but he did have, as you would normally do, a couple of reserves. So from what I understand, the thing she did to give to Piers Wenger is so that he could give it the tick box exercise of, yes, that's okay, because it's his channel, he's the commission editor, etc., etc., etc. And that's more or less standard. Capaldi did something round at Moffat's house, if you remember, on camera. Yes. One evening. So it's the same sort of thing, so that the bigwig at the BBC can say, I signed that off. It's not an audition.
Yeah, but the thing is with Chibnall, he just looked like he wanted to run out of that theatre at any second.
Yeah.
He was very awkward, wasn't he?
His hands were like twiddling. It was just like, mate, you can't be a marketer. Like, as part of a showrunner, you almost need to be a showman. That's the better word, actually. You need to be a showman.
He's not.
And he isn't, though. I mean, the man is a charisma void, and he's very, very awkward. You put him on a stage as well with 3 people. I'm going to be really generous here. 3 people who are trained performers. He looks like what he is, an awkward, geeky little writer who spends most of his time shut away in his room, banging out words. And I'm not going to judge anybody for that, because a writer's life is a writer's life, and a great many people would love that job, and it's definitely a craft, and I respect it enormously. But on the other hand, when somebody comes to this stage, to this forum, and they look so uncomfortable, and more to the point, no matter how much he tells me that he's proud of this product, somehow, Ian, I don't believe him. Why is that?
Because he's talking crap, and he knows the people that are sitting there, apart from John Bishop. I doubt if John Bishop knows anything about this. All of them know the show is failing.
Has failed.
It has absolutely critically and commercially failed. Yeah. And he comes across as somebody who is well, John Bishop just wants money, just like everybody else. The reason why Kevin Smith did the Master Universe, because he needed the money, and the reason why John Bishop is doing this because he needs the money. They don't want to go against the establishment and lose a wage or a job or whatever. So they're never going to talk about the elephant in the room ever. Ever. Yeah. So this is the thing. That this is the one thing they won't talk about in public, right? And this I actually felt disgusted watching this, especially the presenter who was bigging it all up. And we all know there's a problem with this show, but yet no one wants to talk about it. Which I'm fed up with it all. They were soft, but they were very, very soft questions. In fact, I'm not even sure I'd call them questions, JT.
They weren't.
It was a puff piece. It was just chit chat, really.
Right. Well, I didn't watch this, obviously, because I've got no interest at all. I have watched the trailer because of you and watching the show. So Facebook, because I watched this pile of shit for you lot. So we could discuss it on this show. But I haven't watched this panel. But the thing is as well, this is why we're popular. This is why YouTubers are popular, because we are talking about it. They are aware about it. It's just not going through the official channels because they have to always present these things, as you know, Mega Geeky, in the right way. When it comes to Chibnall Chibnall has never ever been a great communicator. He's never really, in my humble opinion, liked the fan base. Not since the open air fiasco, when a lot of us turned on him. To be honest, even back then. I do personally think this whole thing with Doctor Who is his ultimate revenge at all of us. I'm going to kill it. I'm going to kill the show you love. But I mean, look at the magazine. When Russell and Moffat were there, they would do something with the magazine more or less every single month, which were production notes. When Chibnall comes along, that stops because he can't communicate to a fan base that I think he doesn't like or respect.
I think he resents.
Do you know what,
resents
though?
us.
I really want to know, seriously, I want to know whether we are in an echo chamber, whether we are the lesser of
We're not.
of the fans. I just no, but I want to see a fact.
We're
I want
not.
to see it.
I
proved
think we
ultimately.
were initially, or
Yes.
even maybe up until the end of series 11. We were. I'd say people who feel as we do made up around a third of the Doctor Who fan base. A third, yeah, just about a third. But something happened with series 12, and before the beginning of series 12 as well. I'd say by once Spyfall, that two-part that kicked it off, had started, something happened around that time, and Orphan 55 in particular meant a lot of people, it's as if they were all out of second chances to give this version of the show. So I think the tide has definitely turned, and I would now say it's more than 50% of the fan base now
a lot more.
versions of what we feel. They either reject it entirely, Charlotte, or we're on board initially and feel that it's been a massive missed opportunity. I think there are a lot of fans who came to it for Jodie Whittaker and liked it at first that feel let down now. Charlotte, what's your take on that?
Yeah, because let's think about it. Jodie Whittaker is like her doctor is the least interesting bit to Chibnall of his run. He's had a fugitive doctor. He's had Gallifrey be destroyed. He's had the Timeless Children. Like, it's like Jodie's doctor is bottom of the pile because she doesn't get developed. She doesn't get arcs. Everything else, canon-wise, almost is more important to Chibnall. And I think that's why even the fans who came with Jodie are seeing that. They're seeing the lack of interest in their own doctor.
Very much so. I interviewed a guy. I'm not going to name him because he's known in Doctor Who circles. He's a lovely guy, and I interviewed him a little while ago for the podcast, and we were talking about this era. And he is on board with the majority of it, but he was very frustrated about the fugitive Doctor and the fact that they've created this character, brought her to the screen, given her this showcase, and what should be a pivotal part in the lore if they are really going to push outward like this, this whole Timeless Children business. But ultimately, it doesn't look like they're going to do anything with her, and this person feels that the casting of the character was total.
Thank God, that's all I can say.
Was total.
But why?
Well, I wanted to ask you about. Well, I wanted to ask you about this, Ian, because I know you've got a lot of thoughts about this. This person feels that it was just pure tokenization, and so their perspective of Chris Chibnall switched really radically from being someone who was completely on board and trusting of that writer to be, this man is tokenizing ethnic minorities. Is that accurate?
Well, of course it's accurate. The whole of Hollywood is doing that. They're giving black people hand-me-downs for characters. They're not creating new black characters so that they can create their own history. They're taking white characters and turning them black. And the black people who have brains, they know it's a hand-me-down character. Of course, you can't blame actors for taking the parts because it's money and they're moving forward and stuff like that. So I don't blame them, but I do blame the infrastructure of the whole of the system now. So this is what's happening. You can deny it if you want. You can like it if you want. I can only speak for myself where I think this is a horrible precedent. I think this is a cult. And I think this is dangerous right across the board.
I agree with you, Ian, completely. But I have to say as well that the same thing happens with women.
Yeah. Right.
It's just virtue signaling, tick boxing, and it's all done in the name of diversity. And it's not diverse at all. It's just actually doing it because you feel that that's the right thing to do. I agree with you, and I think that's a good point.
Whereas,
and then the problem is, if you're a woman who does not like this era, like me, like Starry, like others in our community, if we speak out, we get attacked. Because it was meant to be for us, this era. And it's like, no, You wanted the protection of a female doctor. You didn't. This is my point with Chibnall. He
I've
wanted the
always felt it was
protection
for his product.
of the female doctor. He doesn't want to develop her. He doesn't want to give her anything to actually do. I still think Jodie wouldn't be good if you gave us anything. But at the end of the day, he should be at least trying to develop her
because
doctor.
she's not right for the part, quite clearly not right for the part. Completely miscast. Jodie Whittaker as Doctor Who is completely miscast. But somebody who isn't necessarily miscast is Jo Martin, who plays the
of course she's miscast.
No, I don't necessarily
that character should not be there, Dan. It should not be there. Just like the War Doctor. The War Doctor should never have been there.
No, we're going to go down another road there, right? We're going to go down another road.
This is how it started, okay? The War Doctor should not have existed at all, right? The destruction of the the origin of the Doctor should not have happened.
No,
right?
I agree. I agree. I agree with you completely, narrative-wise. You know I do. But all I'm talking about is that basic concept of casting an actor who is capable of reaching a part, of embodying a part. I believe, you know me, I would much rather. I've always said publicly, the Doctor is a male part. I didn't see any need to change the gender. It's a total gimmick, and they have royally fucked it up too. That accepted. I believe there are actresses out there who could reach the part potentially, and Jo Martin may be one of them. But because, as you were saying, Charlotte, she there's no chance of any good material getting anywhere near that character to build it out to give her what she would need and no screen time. We're never going to know whether she was right for the role either. Sorry, Kelly.
No. Yeah, but that's the thing. I think some of that is Jo is a lover of the show. If you see her talk, because she was doing promotion for Time Fracture, and she was talking about watching Tom Baker, and I think you don't have to be a fan, and I agree because I know you had this debate a couple of weeks ago. You don't have to be a fan to be a doctor, but you need to at least understand, and I think being a fan helps to understand the character of the Doctor.
No, I disagree with you, Charlotte, but I'm from a different era to you, and I'm older. Because when Hartnell, Troughton, Pertwee, and Baker got the role, they weren't Doctor Who fans. And look how huge and successful and brilliant they are, because they originated it. If you're an actor, a character actor as well, such as your Matt Smith, you can actually, if you have that talent, if you have that gravitas, you can create from nothing a character. And the Doctor is a character. And the whole thing about that is, like Matt Smith did, he was aware of all these previous 10 people that had done it before. He went and did some work, but he's a character actor, and he built his own thing. And that's the thing about an actor, and especially for the Doctor, you can be aware of the 12 incumbents you've had before you. I will never include Whittaker, thank you. And you can go back and look at them to assess that sort of doctorishness thing that runs through the 12 of them. But as your talent, you should be able to put that together as a character without any real without the real fan nonsense that we all have.
Like I said, that's why I'd say maybe not a fan, but understanding. That's the word I'd use then. Because,
but if you're British, you should have that understanding. I mean, if you were saying how what's his name, the new companion, the comedian?
Oh, John Bishop.
John Bishop.
Sorry, I've forgotten his name already. That's age. But John Bishop was so passionate because he understands it's a British icon. It's a British television show. He may not be a fan, but he understands it. There's the illustration.
He must know that this version of Doctor Who is not good. He must know it, right? And the only conclusion I can come to why he's doing it is because it's the BBC. He's getting money. He's getting a bit of prestige, and also it'd be great for his tour. When he's on Doctor Who, it would be great for his tour, right? So that's why he's doing it. But there's no way no one knows that Doctor Who has been woked up to the wazoo. There's no way no one knows.
Oh, I love that. What's it? No, say that again. What's it been done?
Woked up to the wazoo.
Yeah, I love it. There you go.
Can we have that on a t-shirt, please? T-shirts available.
T-shirts coming up. The Mega Geek says, "Woked up to the wazoo,"
and we'll all go to a convention wearing them.
Yeah, no, I would argue actually there was a bit of an acknowledgement because they did not talk about the timeless children.
Not a
Not
word,
once.
not a word, not a whisper.
Really, not one thing about it.
And-
You see, what gets me about these things though is that you can't interact. They are always pre-recorded. They are always closed off. You cannot leave comments. For the reason is because they know, even if the actors may not, but Chibnall knows there will be questions or there will be comments that he doesn't want to see or acknowledge.
But I want to make this clear, right? Totally clear to everyone that's listening, right? I have no problem with this show now. It is not for me, right? I keep saying this. It is for those new people that want this Doctor Who. And I say, God bless them, right?
There isn't many.
If you ask my opinion, I will tell you my opinion without a shadow of a doubt. I'll tell you my, and this is my opinion. This should never have happened.
But we've had this discussion before. We've actually established that the new audience Chibnall wanted by booting us all out and saying, "Oh, I'm going to go for the liberals that are around, the younger liberals." They didn't come. Yes, you've got some of the Blue Hair Prince Brigade, but they're not staying with the show. They arrived, trumpeted the arrival of a female, then buggered off. We know that's failed. We know that audience is there. It's bringing in under 4 million, which is awful. I guarantee. Well, I'm not going to guarantee, but I'm going to predict now. The next series will get on 3.
And JT, we have the only figures that we have got of indication of interest at the moment are the fact that the trailer that was premiered on this panel launched on YouTube as well, obviously the same evening. And you may be interested to know the people out there who collate all these stats and make all these comparisons and hold on to data. They have put the screenshots together. And within I think it was an 18-hour period after the premiere of the trailer to Series 13, it had got half the amount of views that the trailer to Series 12 got within the same amount of
period
of that dropping onto YouTube too. So, okay, it's only one platform, but YouTube is a big platform. It's the biggest platform. And if that's any indicator, then half the interest over the same period of time cannot be good. So we got the trailer. This was the graphic that we got with the trailer. Somebody said, it's just
very subtle.
I said,
Dan, I'm actually just looking. I'm just sorry. Before we go, I'm just go back to your point there about the trailer. I'm just looking at it right now. Yes. It's still only on 333,000 views.
Yeah,
it's not much because the last one they did was in the 400. So it's nothing, is it?
But I was about to say, right, this thing that's happening with all the pop culture TV shows and books and everything, it's very, very dangerous, right? It's look, we're talking about Doctor Who. Doctor Who is a TV show. Yes, God bless it and all that, right? But the problem is bigger than Doctor Who. It's very dangerous what these people are doing, and hopefully I'll be dead before it actually kicks off. That's all I can say.
Well, you're not, because it is showing what's happening now in certain quarters. I mean, there are governments who are woke, who are bringing this all in. I'm in Scotland. I'm very concerned. There are other issues that are coming up. I mean, there is segregation coming in absolutely everywhere, and everybody's doing this under the bracket of diversity and all this sort of stuff. And it's absolute segregation. We've got a college that's being routed in England to be black only. We've got differences I mean, it's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. You know, oh man, we are living through it now. This is starting now.
I'm scared, right? Because my nieces came to stay with me. Just bear with me, Dan. And we were talking about what's that film with the what is it? With Emma Stone, the Walt Disney film, Emma Stone.
Oh,
Cruella, right? We're talking about Cruella, and I was saying I don't want to see a film about a woman that actually kills loads of dogs to make a fur coat. And she was going on about, well, you know, it was the infrastructure that turned it. She's not evil, really, and stuff like that. I was like, this is what they teach you in school. Yeah, this is what they teach you.
I tell you something. I bet if you watch that film, the reason that she's evil it was probably some bloke's some bloke fault. I just while I remember, it'd be a straight white man's fault somehow. They do say that if a tree falls in the forest, which straight white man did it? It
was JT.
I don't tick one of those particular boxes, so I'm fine.
Moving on, everybody. We were talking a little bit about echo chambers, and yes, we we may be all be similar minded on the panel today, I have actually sent out the invitation because we are looking to expand Type 40 Live, because this is a community. We are not an army. We're not allies. We are friends. And the Doctor Who community is traditionally made up of friends who can have these discussions and have these disagreements. And yeah, maybe even things could get a bit volatile sometimes, but that's all part of the fun. You know, you pull on your helmet, you go out to the battlefield, and then everybody comes back and goes for a drink. That was traditionally what fandom was all about. That's what made it tick. That was the community that certainly three of us here grew up in. And there is no reason why it has to die. There's no reason why it has to be left in the past. We can bring it back. So yes, I have sent out a couple of invitations to one guy in particular. He was very keen to come on, but I think his work pattern may mean it's not possible. I'm hoping if he doesn't turn up today, he will at a later date, because he's rather a fan of the era, but like us, he's also got his frustrations too. If that describes you and you're a content maker, a podcaster, or a YouTuber, consider this open forum to come and chat to us. If you think we've got it all wrong, we've got our heads up our... You know what? Come and tell us. Come and talk to us about it. Come and have a few laughs here on Type 40 Live on the Spacebook. We are genuinely interested. I was going to mention Mandeep Gill, but yeah, nobody else did, so why should I? Let's talk a little bit about the trailer. This was the trailer they put out with this graphic, the most on-the-nose graphic you could possibly imagine. We've got a few snippets of Series 13. JT, you actually watched it. For me, this all looked
far too long.
It was far too long at 49 seconds. But for me, this trailer, as somebody who has watched the two preceding seasons, all those clips that made up that trailer could have just as easily have been snipped out from episodes that we have already seen. There is nothing new here to see that I can make out. Charlotte, am I being harsh there? You've watched them too.
Oh, yeah, no, I think they were scared to put anything of substance in. That's the whole vibe I got from the panel. They were scared to death to spoil. And I think the trailer, and here's my little theory, why I think it was so... It seemed to be very random clips to me that just randomly they put together. And I think maybe they did that because we do know from the panel that Series 13 is one continuous story.
Yes.
And I think they thought if we put too many clips that sync, we're going to spoil some of this continuous story.
I doubt that.
Yeah, so let's get into that then. Serialized story. This was the big revelation of the panel, wasn't it? Such as it was. This is the only thing that Chris Chibnall really said of any consequence. So yeah, they are going with one serialized story. It's going to be one story over all of the episodes in this block, rather than the traditional self-contained episodes. And this is a direct quote from Mr. Chibnall now. He said when he was actually on stage, let's get him up. Yes, he said that the big thing we're going to be doing this year is that it's all one story. Every episode is a chapter in a bigger story. So we've changed the shape of the series for this year. And I think the challenges of getting the show up and running, you could have gone one of two ways. You could have, we were just going to, let's go. You could go, we're just going to do lots and lots of tiny episodes in one room with no monsters. Or we can throw down the gauntlet and say we're going to do the biggest story we've ever done. Oh, Chris, don't say things like that, because that is something you cannot possibly guarantee on delivering. And the more you raise people's expectations, the harder it is to deliver on them.
Raise expectations.
yeah. And he did. They had. So that's the thing. We're getting this one overarching story. Now, the thing is, although 8 episodes are being made, have been commissioned, and are to be delivered, as we've been saying on this show now for months. I think people have started talking about it now, but we've been saying it on Type 40 Live for months. Subscribe now, you don't want to miss any more. That there are 8 episodes being filmed, but only 6 are going to be part of this run. The remaining 2 are going to be held over. We're going to get one as the New Year's Day special, and another one sometime, probably late in 2022, which will be the final episode to star Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor.
Hooray!
We've been saying that on Type 40 Live for months. I see no reason to change that tune now. So, Is this overarching story going to run over just the 6 or over all 8? In which case, people could have to wait the best part of 18 months to see how the story concludes, JT. But as classic fans, we know that this sort of serialized storytelling, it's been tried before, hasn't it? And it's been tried when the show has been in trouble. So,
well, no, because the Key to Time was not a time when the show was in trouble, and the Key to Time is genius. I can watch the whole of the Key to Time in a week quite happily. And let's just mention Mary, who his anniversary was this week. Lots of love. Lots of love.
Late Mary Town.
Yep. Trial of a Time Lord. We all know the story there. What gets me about this, which makes it laughable, is again, Chibnall, sweetheart, darling, you're in total ignorance here. If you were a member of the British public, which the four of us are, many of the Spacebookers watching are, we are not watching your show. So you're coming along now, and you're going to expect a member of the British public to watch this show every week for God knows how many weeks, 8 weeks or whatever, 6 weeks. Now, what if you were a member of the viewing British public and you tune into Doctor Who on a Saturday or Sunday or wherever they're going to put it now to try and boost the figures, and it's episode 5 of a continuing story, you're going to switch off because you won't know what's gone before and you won't, quite frankly, give a damn. What an idiot. You should have stuck in your failing show to the individual story so that you could try and at least grab the people that might tune in by mistake to show their interest. But it's not going to work. It's not going to work because they're not going to stick with this thing. This is the most unpopular version of the show in the show's history. The British public have said, we're sick of this nonsense. Reject. It's not going to work.
I don't think it's going to work either.
I agree.
I don't think it's going to work
JT.
either. There is some excitement out there about this, Charlotte, as you from the usual people really who are completely on board. I don't think this is going to work at all. Yeah, I understand why people fall for hype, for hyperbole, and for big smiles on stages. But my instinct is exactly the same as yours, JT. I think the only way this could possibly work is it would be if they were to strip it across a week, the way they did with Torchwood, Children of Earth. And we still get event shows like that sometimes now. ITV ran one around Easter time, didn't they, starring Noel Clarke? And that did really, really well in the ratings. I think that they may have been able to made this serialized storyline work over a week, but
I understand what you're saying, and it would have been
over 6 Saturdays. Yes, they are going to fall into the exact pitfall that you talked about.
I understand what you're saying there about following the Children of Earth type model, and that was huge. But that's when the show was popular. Yeah. It's not popular. It's very difficult to talk to a certain element of the fan base about this, but we know this. We've discussed about this. The ratings are down. The merchandise is going down the toilet every single day, as we saw at the top of the show. Please, all this not. Even if you put it on at, say, 6 o'clock every single night, the BBC has just lost in 18 months 1 million license fee households. That's automatically going to bring down the viewing figure on Doctor Who. As I said the other week, EastEnders is getting just over 2 million for its episodes. Go figure. Even if it was on every single day, I don't think the public would watch. And it has lost all of us as fans as well. The fan base now is, we're around, but we're not following the show. And the ones that do are very small. I can't wait to see the figures, Charlotte.
Yeah, and also you've got the popularity issue. And the elephant in the room, this is Chibnall writing this. This is the showrunner who randomly decided halfway through my second season, I'm going to give a companion mental health problems when he hadn't signposted it.
I've never mentioned it before.
This is
since.
This is the showrunner who had the 13th Doctor see Gallifrey destroyed in Spyfall, that opening episode, and then she's happy, she's laughing, she's how did Yaz say it? She's in a bit of a mood. Yeah, she's just seen a whole planet destroyed.
God, I'd rather watch Play School. Oh, you won't remember that, Charlotte.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah,
that's my point. He can't do long form development to save his life, and now he's doing a whole series that's going to heavily depend on it.
As you can tell, everybody, our hopes have not been raised by this at all.
No.
A largely inconsequential trailer, a puff piece of a panel in a difficult time, but they could have made it a little bit more lively. And this graphic, of course, the people out there got quite excited about this, and there was speculation for well over a week about that bottom line, that little line there underneath John Bishop where it says, with Chris Chibnall and a very special surprise guest. Now,
Oh yeah.
Let's go back on that a little, and I'll clear my throat.
Was it Brad Pitt?
A very special surprise guest. Now, they must have known what they were doing when they said
Dame
that.
Judi Dench.
The fandom. Oh, if only. Oh, bless her.
No, she would not touch this show with anybody's. Can you imagine? No.
So what do you think happened? The fandom latched onto that, and their imaginations went into overdrive, didn't it, Charlotte? Who was it going to be?
David Tennant.
We joined in. Yeah, is it David Tennant?
Was it Zippy?
Joe Martin? Is it Tom Baker? People out there with
Tom Baker
genuinely thought that it may be Tom Baker.
Why would it be Tom?
I said in jest to somebody last week on another show. I said, well, here's what I do. I would scroll through the list of the cast members of Broadchurch, work out who hadn't been on yet, and it will be them. And I was completely joking.
David Bradley.
Everybody. Now I'm smart, but I'm not that smart. But it turns out that I was exactly right.
Oh, who was it?
The very special surprise guest
Who's
turned
that?
out to be this guy. Correct. This is
Who's this? What was he playing in Broadchurch?
Charlotte.
I don't remember him.
Charlotte. Tell JT who this is.
Who's this, Charlotte?
He's a Captain Jack replacement.
Oh my god!
Oh yeah, this
really?
is the actor. This is the actor and singer Jacob Anderson. He was introduced on the panel in a self-recorded video from his own home. He was all smiles, and God bless him. He looked like he'd had the time of his life. He was really pleased to be there, and it was hard not to feel glad for this guy that he'd got a job on a show that he loved when he was a kid. That's
just got a job. Just got a job, end it there.
Well done, Jacob. Yeah, got a job during a pandemic. Well done, Jacob. I'm glad you enjoyed it. But as you say, Charlotte, it does look like this character has been parachuted in to the show to make up for the absence of John Barrowman's Captain Jack, who we strongly believe was a big feature of this series, because there's a bloody tie-in comic from Titan Comics starring Captain Jack that was supposed to weave into this story. So,
are you telling me this is a new companion?
Yeah, well, that's what we suspect.
It's a new character. That's what we suspect. JT.
So the comic has been shelved. So John Barrowman, the Captain Jack comic has been shelved. We believe the reason why it's still filming is because they've had to do some reshoots on this and create this character for Jacob. Is that what you think as well, then, Charlotte?
Well, yeah, I think to be positive, he was lovely. His little bit he filmed.
He was
once again,
really nice guy.
He talked about watching David Tennant when he was a teenager, saying, "I don't want to go."
Oh, shut up!
Well, no,
teenager! Oh, go away, youth!
No,
glass of water for JT, please. Glass
of something stronger.
I'm used to it. No, but so that was lovely because he was really enthusiastic. And once again, it was like John. I actually bought his enthusiasm. Maybe I'm getting soft. Sorry. But basically, his description, he's like a gun-toting sort of action hero, is the way they described him.
Captain Jack.
So Captain Jack. He's even got a ship. He's even got his own ship. So it's
he's got dreads.
And has he got dreads? Is that the squareness gun? It looks.
I was going to ask you that because it looks like the squareness gun. He'll be having a time thingy on his wrist next. I tell you, is he a time agent?
We don't know.
I bet you he is. I bet you now he is. I'll bet you an Easter egg. Yes.
Yeah. The character's name is Vinda.
Which
is whatever.
Vinda.
And talented. When I see talented people, when I see enthusiastic, talented people cast in the show as it is now, you know what I think? What a waste! It's a pity that it's a pity they couldn't have been cast in a few years' time. Maybe this guy would get something interesting to do, something that he could really play with and expand on, rather than what we believe could be a hand-me-down part. There's not really a great deal we can say about it. We haven't seen him in the role. Ian, do you remember this guy? He played a Grey Worm in Game of Thrones. Another great character.
I'm not a fan of Game of Thrones, but I hope they don't kill this guy off or he doesn't get injured, because in Doctor Who, especially Jodie run, all the black people in the Jodie run either are stupid or get killed, or you know what I mean. So I'm hoping this, prime example was what's his name? The guy that was sucking his thumb. I can't remember his name. What's his name again?
Ryan.
What a plank and an idiot that guy was.
Did he audition?
You know what I mean? Who knows? Who cares?
Let's face it, it's doubtful on the strength of evidence that we've got.
This is another thing that people don't notice, that BBC, especially this era of Doctor Who, treated black people like shit. They did. Go and look at the history on the. Well, I only saw the first season, and I've been told about the other seasons, but I saw the last one, which was the Christmas one, and the poor black guy driving the truck, he got killed. Do you know what I mean?
Mega geeky. I'm not watching any more of this stuff. I watched a 49-second trailer. That was more than enough for me. Thank you. God,
So,
I wouldn't be surprised if this guy gets done for or something. Or he's a baddie.
Almost certainly.
Yeah.
We've got starry-eyed girl watching in the chat. As Sarah, she couldn't make it today either, unfortunately, but she is here spiritually, and she says, "I shan't be watching Series 13 apart from the episode where Jodie gets killed and regenerates." And we're waiting to see if we can get a discount on the party poppers for that episode. So stick with us. Hopefully we'll have a code that you'll be able to enter in and get a percentage off. I'm still working on that. Just stick with me. So I think we have to leave that subject there for now. The panel, it was 40 minutes of your life you're never going to get back, wasn't it? It was pretty much what we were expecting. Fairly harmless, nothing to frighten the horses, which really says a lot about Doctor Who on TV in 2021. The trailer, there'll likely be a proper trailer coming in a few weeks' time. I thought
that was the proper trailer.
That was the teaser. That was the teaser.
Yeah, if you put that onto BBC One, you're going to lose even more viewers, because it reminded me of the opening titles to Rainbow. High above the streets and houses, rainbow climbing high, because all the rainbows came up in that. Do you remember? And I just thought, I hope bloody Thames Television sue the hell out of you.
Yes, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Yes, we are close to that point where we take a little bit of a break. So let's have a look and see what's going on in the chat.
I need to go for a pee. Yeah.
Lots of other people aren't. Jason Scott, Series 13 will be every bit as abysmal as 12. You could find the best supporting actors to star in the show at this point, but as long as Chibnall and Whittaker on board, it'll be a waste.
Absolutely.
I completely agree with Jason Scott. Thanks for joining us.
Can I say to that to Jason, I hope you don't take this the wrong way, Jason, but in your picture there, you're looking very masterly.
He is. He looks like the master there.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but that's what I don't get about this panel. Like, if you look online, I keep seeing, I'm not watching it, I'm fed up, I'm not watching it. So they need to basically kick the audience back into watching this program. They need to make a big splash. They need to do something that really gets excitement going.
Yeah,
Recast, redo the production team. That's what's going to get the excitement going. Yeah.
Let's hire some guy with dreadlocks so we can kill him off or make him a baddie. Yeah.
No, but
that's the big thing they presented to us, right?
Yeah, but that's my point. This was the chance to get the public's imagination. I know it was never going to happen, but this is the chance to do it. And what did they do? They gave us a trailer with no monsters, with no real action pieces in it.
Even though we know some of the monsters already.
He flies.
Yeah.
Jodie flies.
But
Mandy.
Do you know, Charlotte, some of the trailers, do you remember at the end of the Russell T Davies era, especially on the Christmas Day episode, you would get a trailer for the next series, which was happening in a few months' time. They were more impactful, I thought, than that thing that they put on Comic-Con, because they were bang, 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 excitement, energy, and you thought, ooh, this is all going to look good, you know?
Do you remember the one with Matt when he was lied on the grass and he was with Amy?
Wonderful.
And it like,
yeah.
And if you go back further, when they were introducing, I can't remember what series with Tom Baker, they just showed a clip of Tom Baker looking out the square, looking down at the Dalek and saying, if you're so intelligent, if you're better than the human race, climb up here and get me. And then it fires at him. That was enough to make me want to watch the show.
And that was a trailer for Destiny of the Daleks back in '79, and it was just for that story as the season opened to say the Daleks back, and so's Tom.
Yeah,
happy memories. Obviously, if you're on board for Series 13, we hope you enjoy it sincerely, and we will be covering it in one form or another. We're not quite sure how yet, but stick with Type 40 and Type 40 Live. There will be coverage of Series 13 coming up.